I am predicting this will be the most watched video on our YouTube channel. I am predicting that this will be the most important YouTube video that one could watch when thinking about or in the process of becoming a public adjuster, because today I'm going to teach you what the public adjuster requirements are to get your license and become officially certified and licensed in your state across the entire country, and especially, stay tuned towards the end, the state of Florida. So let's get right to it in 3, 2, 1. What's up, advocates? Welcome back to another episode of the Commercial Claims Show. I am the Commercial Claims Advocate, Vince Perri, the owner and CEO of Elite Resolutions, a public adjusting firm. And today I'm going to get right to it. We're going to talk to you about what are the requirements for becoming a public adjuster. What are the steps you need to take to get your public adjuster license? What are the steps that you need to take so that you could become official in having your license and have the ability to work insurance claims in your local home state. Now, you might think that it's a lengthy process. You might think that it's a difficult process. You might think that it's an easy process, but for everyone, it's a little bit different. But what I've noticed after doing some research, I've been looking across basically the entire country, and what I've noticed is that a lot of it's the same. So if you're in the state of Florida, I want you to stay tuned, because there goes a little bit of a right turn in Florida, because it's a little bit different in Florida. For the rest of the country, it's relatively the same, but when it comes to Florida, because of the amount of public adjusters that are in the state of Florida, because of the amount of storms and actual claims that get filed in the state of Florida, it is a little bit more of a difficult process, and there's a couple extra steps that need to be taken before you become a fully licensed public adjuster. That being said, let's get right to it. Listen up, advocates. Whether you're a public adjuster, contractor, or an attorney, if you have a client that has suffered any kind of catastrophic loss, whether that be by fire or storm or just any catastrophic loss that requires your client to have to move out and incur ALE and loss of use coverage, you need to think about looking at Black Diamond Services. This is an incredible idea for a service that I think is extremely valuable, and I've actually personally used for my clients myself. Basically, what they do is they provide all of the necessary money that is needed to be done for the homeowner to go and move to another place, whether that be a hotel or another home or whatever it is. They basically bill through their insurance policy's loss of use coverage, and basically they provide financial assistance so that the insured never has to incur any out-of-pocket expenses. It's an amazing service. I love the people at Black Diamond Services, especially Millie Varela. If you just contact her and contact Black Diamond Services, I'm telling you, they're going to take care of your clients like you wouldn't believe. I personally have a client who suffered a fire damage and had to use their ALE coverage, and all we did was refer them to Black Diamond. Our clients did not have to come out of pocket a single penny. Black Diamond provided all of the financial money, and they provided the actual location for the homeowner to stay. Amazing service. Contact Black Diamond Services today so you could find out more information for yourself. So I did a lot of research. What I would really love is for you to comment below if you find out something different or if there's any additional information that I'm missing. We did go and scan across the entire country. I went through it. There might be some things that I missed. So I'm going to actually generalize this, because what I've noticed, it's basically the same. It's basically the same process in pretty much every state. Like I said, with exception for the state of Florida. So let's get right to it. So step one, numero uno, ready? Number one is you have to take a pre-licensing course, okay? There's different places. We have another video that you'll be able to watch. We'll talk about places that you can take these courses and the different online opportunities that you have to actually complete these courses. There's different websites that you can go to that could provide you with this pre-licensing course to complete. But you have to do a pre-licensing course. It ranges anywhere from about 40 hours to 60 or 70 hours that you have to complete. And from what I remember, back in my day, actually, I had to go in person. Back in my day, I actually had to go in person. In 2007, I think it was, or 2008, it was the financial crisis. And I noticed there was a lot of realtors and a lot of mortgage brokers that were in my course getting it was 2 full weekend course to get your adjuster's license and to pass this pre-licensing course. But that was in person. Now, I'm sure they also offer it in person now that COVID's sort of like, it's a little bit easier. But I know there's an online resource that you can do it as well. And what that online resource, most of them are, is just a set of modules that you have to go through. And it takes anywhere from like 40 to 60 hours to complete it. I've had some guys on our team that have been able to complete it in 5 days. And I've had some guys on my team that's taken them months to complete it. It's you go through a module, you have to pass a quiz. You go through a module, you have to pass a quiz. And more often than not, there's like an exam that you have to take at the end to be officially complete with your pre-licensing course. That's step one. Okay, take the time to find a good pre-licensing course that you can get online towards your public adjuster license, and you need to complete that. Because after you complete that, step number 2 is, well, you have to sign up and take the public adjuster exam. Again, most states across the country, you have to take a public adjuster exam. Let me tell you something about the public adjuster exam. As someone who has taken the Florida public adjuster exam, the Texas public adjuster exam, and the California public adjuster exam, I personally took these exams, each and every one of them, and they are not easy. Take it from someone who failed the first time he took the Florida public adjuster exam, who failed the first time he took the California public adjuster exam, and thank God I passed it on the first try for Texas. But the point is now I'm not the smartest guy in the room, that's for sure, but it's not an easy test, okay? You have to study, you have to prepare for it. I could make a whole other video on how to prepare for the exam, but basically I could sum it up really, really quick. When preparing for the public adjuster exam, you want to make sure that you have access to practice questions. I believe my wife actually taught me, who's much, much smarter than I am. She's a pharmacist, went to pharmacy school, and is a pharmacist at a cancer institute, board certified. She's a smart cookie, and she's always done really good in school. And what she told me as a tip was, don't worry about studying the material, just practice the questions. Take the questions. Take as many questions as possible. Whenever I get messages on social media asking me how they should prepare for the PA exam, I tell them practice questions, practice questions, practice questions, because that will do 2 things. It'll allow you to study the material, because usually with the practice questions, it gives you a description of why that answer is correct or why the answer is incorrect, and it'll give you practice, like practicing a sport, on getting better at actually taking the questions. And more often than not, the practice questions are, if not the same, very similar as the actual test questions. So make sure, we got to show this book here. Sorry about that. All right. That's our Public Adjuster Handbook. Be sure to get that online. So take a lot of practice questions, but step 2, after you do the pre-licensing course, you have to take the exam. A lot of places that you could sign up, mostly the one that I know of is Pearson VUE. Pearson VUE is not a sponsor. If you would like to sponsor, please feel free to contact me. But no, Pearson VUE is usually that's where I've taken all my exams. California, Florida, and Texas was all done through Pearson VUE. Go on their website and you could probably find it a local area near you. I think you could even take the test online now or something like that. One of my guys told me that the first try you can take it online. 70%. You have to get a 70% minimum in order for you to officially pass the exam and get your license. So that's it. Pre-licensing course, take the exam, get your license. Now, once you do get your license, there are 3 things that you have to do. One of them is you have to fill out an application. You have to fill out the actual public adjuster application. It's different in some states. I noticed some states you have to fill out the application first and you have to take the test. But I did notice in most states, you do the pre-licensing course, you take the exam, you pass the exam, then you fill out the application and submit it to the state. Okay, so that's step number 3, fill out the application. I guess along with step number 3, we're going to go step number 4 and 5 is you need to do your fingerprints, and you need to pay for a bond, okay? So that's 5 steps, right? Get the pre-licensing online course. You have to take the PA exam. You have to fill out an application. You have to get your fingerprints done, and you have to get a bond. Those are the things that you need to do. I'm going to leave a couple places down here. Again, they're not sponsors. Shout out to my guys that we use for bonds, Security Bonds and Associates. Again, they're not sponsors, but that's who I've been using for the last 14 years, Security Bond and Associates in Miami, Florida. They provide all my bonds for North Carolina, for California, for Texas, and for Florida. So if you want to reach out to them, tell them that I sent you. I don't know. Maybe they'll call me and say, hey, wow. So that's where we get the bond. Their fingerprints, I forgot where we do it, but just type in where you could get your local fingerprints. A lot of this stuff you could find online, guys, and they'll give you a lot of the information that you need, and they'll even link you to locations in your area where you can get your fingerprints done. But yes, you have to get your fingerprints as well. You have to get your bond, and that, my friends, is the process of becoming a public adjuster in pretty much every state in the country, okay? Pre-licensing course, it's going to be around 40 to 60 hours that you have to go through modules, boring modules that you have to get through so that you could understand the insurance process and the claims process. You have to take your PA exam. You have to fill out an application with your state. You have to provide fingerprints, and you have to pay and provide a bond. You cannot officially get your license until those 5 things are done. Simple as that. Now on to Florida. Florida, a little bit more complicated, a little bit more strenuous, and takes a little bit more time. The first thing that is done is the pre-licensing online course. That has to be done. Upon completion of that pre-licensing online course, you do not go straight into the exam, not quite yet. You officially, from the pre-licensing course, you will receive your 620. That is an all lines adjuster license, also known as a 620. With that all licensed 620 adjuster's license, you still cannot act as a public adjuster because you are not a public adjuster yet. What you are supposed to do once you receive that licensing, that 620, is you are supposed to apply for an apprenticeship with a public adjusting firm. You have to be appointed with a public adjusting firm for 6 months before you can become an actual licensed public adjuster. Another option is if you cannot find a firm to appoint you, my advice is you appoint yourself. This way, while you're in the process of trying to do it, you are already self-appointed. Because according to people that I have spoken to in preparation for this video, in Florida, if you are self-appointed as a 620 for 1 year, you could officially get your licensed public adjuster license. So one of 2 ways, right? You get the pre-licensing course, become a 620 all lines adjuster. With that 620, find an internship, find an apprenticeship with a public adjusting firm for 6 months, or self-appoint for 1 year to get your 320. In that process, okay, in that 6-month apprenticeship or during that 1 year self-appointment, you will have to take the exam. You will still have to take a public adjuster exam. So it's relatively the same process as the rest of the country. You just have to be either self-appointed or apprenticed with a company. The problem with being self-appointed is you still cannot act as a public adjuster. The beauty about getting yourself an apprenticeship and being appointed under a public adjusting firm is that you can act as a licensed public adjuster. A public adjuster apprentice cannot sign their own claims, but they can act as a public adjuster. So they can go to homes, talk about policy, talk about the insurance claim and the process and so on and so forth. The only problem is they cannot sign their own claims. The public adjuster that they are appointed under has to sign the claim themselves. So locate your local public adjusting firms. Please reach out to us. We usually have a spot or 2 available for any apprentices. I will tell you to come work for Elite Resolutions. It's not the easiest. We don't just accept anyone. Literally, if you want to come work for us, you have to fill out an application, you have to provide a resume, and you have to complete 2 assessments. So just an FYI before we even interview you, and then I will personally do the interviewing. So if you would like to reach out to us, just shoot me a message and we could work something out. But you have to do that 6-month apprenticeship or the 1 year appointment. And in that time, you have to take your public adjuster exam. Take your public adjuster exam. You have to pass it with a 70% or more. And then from there, same thing. Fingerprints and bond. Maybe application too. Probably an application as well. Okay? But fingerprints and bond. Very important because we've had some guys who passed the test and were trying to appoint them, but they didn't have their fingerprints done. Or they haven't passed the test, but they had their fingerprints and their bond done. You have to have all of these things. You have to have passed the test. You have to have your fingerprints. You have to have a bond. And you have to submit all this stuff to the state. And honestly, thank God in Florida, I don't know, Texas was actually pretty good too, but they're very responsive and you can call them. There's always somebody that will answer at the Florida Department of Financial Services and also at the Texas Department of Insurance because I do deal with them as well. Honestly, both, I have nothing negative to say. Except that, at least they get back to us and everything. So, but feel free to call them and just confirm. But that I know for a fact, the biggest difference is you have to wait in Florida. You either have to wait 6 months or you have to wait a year before you could. And in that process, you have to take your exam before you can become a licensed public adjuster. And that's it. So basically, we've got the top 5, right? You have to pre-licensing course, pass the exam, fingerprints, bond, and application all submitted to your local state. That is the process in pretty much the entire country. Out of those, in those top 5 in Florida, you have to do a 6-month apprenticeship, okay? And you have to self-appoint for 1 year. I will say there's limits to the apprenticeship. So if you're getting told no, that's for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is a firm could only have a maximum of 4 apprentices at a time. And each apprentice has to be sort of appointed within the appointment to 1 public adjuster. So for say, if we don't have 4 licensed public adjusters, well, we could only have as many as we have licensed. Okay, so if we only have 2 licensed public adjusters, we could only have 2 apprentices because it has to be under each public adjuster. If you have 10 public adjusters, you could only have 4 apprentices under 4. You can't have 10 of them. So if people keep telling you no, just understand that it's very limited as to how many a public adjusting firm can have. And the last thing is, I will be honest, as a public adjusting firm owner, it is kind of a headache. Not the responsibility, it's the having to have someone else sign the contract. It gets a little, excuse me, but a little annoying when the public adjuster apprentice is out there finding claims and working claims, but then has to bring the other public adjuster along to actually get the contract signed. It makes the life of the apprentice a little bit difficult, especially during the sales pitch to the client of what we do. And then, hey, hold on, I have to get this guy. But I understand its importance. I understand why it's there, is to just make sure people are doing the best job possible. So I'm not against it. It's just, it becomes a little bit of a hurdle to go over, but you get over it eventually. And, if this is something that you want to do, I mean, that's the steps that you have to take. Get on the internet and find out more information if you can. If I'm missing anything, or if you're from a state that it's not those 5 things that you have to do, please comment below. I'd love to know which ones I'm not hitting. And that's it. Been wanting to do this video for a long time, but I wanted to make sure I had the proper information because I get this message all the time, okay? All of the time. And that's the process and how you become a public adjuster. And then from there, guess what the process is? Hustle, 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 hustle. Chase a storm, join a networking group, go to a bunch of happy hours, meet with a lot of contractors, and grow your business, because a public adjuster, the sky's the limit. You're getting paid a percentage, and you can make anywhere from $100,000 to $500,000 working these insurance claims, and it's pretty fun. Let me tell you, I've been doing it for 14 years, and I love it. So that's it, guys. That's the show for today, the Commercial Claims Show. My name is Vince Perri. I'm the Commercial Claims Advocate, and my firm is Elite Resolutions. If you're interested in coming to work for our firm or apprenticing for our firm, whether you're in Florida, Texas, or California, please shoot me a message, leave me a comment, find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, send me a message, give me your information, and we'll send you an application so that you can fill it out and provide those assessments, and we'll see if you would be a good fit for our team. We are completely virtual, so anywhere in either of those 3 states, you could still work for us, and we can knock these claims out, be very successful. Go on our website, eliteresolutions.com, where you can find out more about our firm. You could also go on commercialclaimsadvocate.com, where you can find all of our resources for learning on how to be a public adjuster, learning on the insurance claims process for any public adjuster in the country, whether you have your own firm or not. You could come, you could purchase our ebook, you can take our online course, you could participate in our 2-day intense live workshop that we have every 3 months, and we've got meetups all around the country. If you are in one of those areas that we are going to, check out our calendar online. You can see where we're going to next, and you could join us, and you could see me, meet me, and ask me anything you want in person. And don't forget to subscribe below so that you could see all of our weekly videos that we have coming out with more and more content, free information to better yourselves in your career as public adjusters, as policyholders as well, because, we got to educate them also. So that's what we have, guys. Follow me on Facebook and anywhere on social media. I'd love to have a chat with you. Thank you so much for watching, and you guys have yourself a killer week. Thank you very much. Goodbye.